Every morning, 85-year-old Arthur Hill laced up his worn-out shoes and began his miles-long journey, a backpack full of dog food on his shoulders. For years, Arthur's sole purpose had been to care for the stray dogs of his town, sacrificing his meager savings and enduring physical pain to ensure they were fed. His quiet acts of kindness went unnoticed until one rainy day when a stranger followed him and uncovered his heartwarming mission. What happened next was beyond Arthur's wildest dreams. From viral recognition to life-changing generosity, the community rallied around the selfless man, turning his humble efforts into something extraordinary. Arthur's story is a moving testament to how one person's compassion can inspire a world of difference. It was early morning, the first light of dawn just beginning to streak across the sky. The streets were quiet, save for the rhythmic tapping of a wooden cane against the pavement. Arthur Hill, 85 years old, had already started his daily journey. A modest man with silver hair and a gentle demeanor, Arthur carried a heavy backpack filled with food and water. His destination wasn't far by car, but for Arthur, who relied on his own 2 feet, it was a grueling 3-mile walk each way. For the past 5 years, Arthur had been feeding stray dogs in his small town. The animals, abandoned and hungry, relied on him as their sole source of comfort and sustenance. Every day, without fail, he would trek to an overgrown field near the edge of town where the dogs gathered. It had all started when Arthur's wife, Margaret, passed away. The couple had been married for over 50 years, their lives intertwined like roots of an old oak tree. When Margaret passed, Arthur found himself adrift in a sea of loneliness. One day, while sitting in the park, he noticed a skinny, trembling dog rummaging through a trash can. The sight broke his heart. On a whim, he shared his lunch with the dog, and for the first time in months, Arthur felt a glimmer of purpose. From then on, feeding stray dogs became his mission. Arthur didn't have much. His small pension barely covered his living expenses, but he made it work. He cut back on his own meals, bought food in bulk, and packed it into containers each morning. The strays, now a pack of 7, waited eagerly for him every day. They wagged their tails and nuzzled his hands, as if they understood the sacrifice he made for them. Word of Arthur's kindness began to spread in the neighborhood. Occasionally, people would wave or offer him a ride, but Arthur always declined. "These legs still work," he'd joke, though his knees ached with every step. One rainy afternoon, as Arthur trudged along his usual route, a young woman named Emily noticed him from her car. She had seen him before, always walking with that heavy backpack. Curious, she decided to follow him at a distance. What she witnessed left her speechless. Arthur knelt in the muddy field, surrounded by wagging tails and eager eyes, as he handed out food to the strays. Emily couldn't shake the image from her mind. That evening, she shared Arthur's story on social media, describing his selflessness and dedication. Her post quickly went viral. People from all over the community and even beyond were moved by the story of the elderly man who walked miles every day to care for forgotten animals. Donations began pouring in. Bags of dog food, blankets, and even cash were delivered to Emily's house. She decided to reach out to Arthur directly. When Emily knocked on Arthur's door, he was bewildered. His modest home was sparsely furnished, a testament to his humble lifestyle. She explained how his story had touched so many people and presented him with the donations. Arthur's eyes welled up with tears. "I don't do this for recognition," he said softly, his voice trembling. "I just can't stand to see them suffer." Emily smiled. "We know, Arthur. That's why everyone wants to help." Over the next few weeks, Arthur's life began to change. Volunteers from the community joined him on his daily walks, helping to carry supplies and feed the dogs. A local veterinarian offered free checkups and vaccinations for the strays. With the donations, Emily and Arthur worked together to build a small shelter on the field where the dogs could find safety and warmth. One afternoon, as Arthur sat in the shade, watching the dogs play, he was approached by a man in a business suit. The man introduced himself as Mark, a representative from an animal welfare organization. "Mr. Hill," Mark began, "your story has inspired people far and wide. We'd like to partner with you to create a permanent sanctuary for these animals." Arthur was stunned. He had never dreamed that his simple act of feeding stray dogs could lead to something so significant. With Mark's help, the donations were used to purchase a piece of land and build a proper animal sanctuary. Arthur's name was engraved on a plaque at the entrance, Hill's Haven, a place of hope for strays. The sanctuary became a beacon of compassion in the community. People came from neighboring towns to volunteer, adopt dogs, and support the cause. Arthur, though overwhelmed by the attention, remained humble. He continued his daily walks, now accompanied by a group of supporters. One day, while visiting the sanctuary, Arthur noticed a young boy timidly approaching with his mother. The boy, clutching a small box, explained that he had found a stray puppy near his school and wanted to bring it to Hill's Haven. Arthur knelt down, his joints protesting, and gently took the puppy into his arms. "You've done a good thing, son," he said, his voice warm. In that moment, Arthur realized that his journey had come full circle. What had started as a way to cope with his own loneliness had blossomed into a movement of kindness and community. Years later, when Arthur passed away peacefully in his sleep, the town came together to honor his memory. A statue was erected at the sanctuary, depicting Arthur with a backpack and a stray dog at his side. Inscribed on the base were the words, "One person's kindness can change the world." Arthur's legacy lived on, not just in the sanctuary, but in the hearts of everyone he had touched. The sanctuary became more than just a safe haven for stray animals. It turned into a symbol of hope and a reminder of the incredible impact one person can have on the world. Schools began organizing trips to Hill's Haven to teach children about compassion and responsibility. Families who adopted animals from the sanctuary would often return, sharing stories of how their new furry friends brought joy into their lives. Arthur's statue at the entrance stood as a constant reminder of his unwavering kindness. Visitors would often stop to reflect on his story, inspired to spread kindness in their own ways. Local charities and volunteers continued to grow the sanctuary, ensuring Arthur's dream flourished. His memory became a guiding light for the community, proving that even the smallest, most selfless acts of love have the power to create ripples that touch countless lives and leave the world forever changed.